You hand in your notice, your manager asks you to sit down. 20 minutes later, you walk out with a $20,000 raise and your resignation letter sitting in the recycling bin. It feels like a win. It might be the most expensive decision you ever make. Here is what the data shows. Roughly half of employees who accept a counteroffer are gone within 12 months anyway. Not because they plan to leave again, because the company planned it for them. And by the time they figure out what happened, they have lost the raise, the new job, and 2 years of career momentum they can never get back. This is what I call the retention trap. The raise is real. The job title is real. But something else happened in the background the moment you handed in that resignation letter. Something that does not show up in your offer letter. Something that will quietly reshape every performance review, every promotion decision, and every layoff list for the next 18 months. Today, we are going to look at the math behind that decision. We are going to walk through the 3 hidden mechanisms that activate the moment you accept a counteroffer. And I'm going to show you exactly how to calculate whether your raise was actually a raise or just a very expensive delay. If you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe to Paycheck Playbook. It is the best return on your time today. Now let me show you what is actually happening inside that HR system. Let me start with why the counteroffer exists at all. Because it is not about you. Robert Half surveyed more than 5,500 hiring managers across the United States. 58% of them said they issue counteroffers when an employee resigns. And when asked why, the top 2 answers were, do not want to lose institutional knowledge and do not want to spend time or money hiring a replacement. Notice what is not on that list. Your career development, your satisfaction, your future at the company. The counteroffer is a cost calculation. It is a procurement decision. Your manager ran the numbers and concluded that paying you $20,000 more per year is cheaper than recruiting, onboarding, and ramping up your replacement, which SHRM estimates costs between 6 and 9 months of your salary. On a $90,000 role, that is $45,000 to $67,000 of replacement cost. Your $20,000 raise is a bargain for them. A defensive purchase, not an investment in your future. That reframe matters. Because the moment you understand that the counteroffer is about their budget, not your value, the emotional math of the decision changes completely. But here is where it gets structural. This is the part most people do not see. The day you hand in your notice, something gets written into your HR record that no raise can erase. I call this the signal cost. You have demonstrated in the clearest possible way that you were willing to leave, that you had already mentally moved on, that it took a competing offer to make you stay. Modern HR systems, the platforms that companies like ADP and Culture Amp build, track what they call flight risk scores. These scores factor in time since last promotion, engagement signals, compensation history, and yes, whether an employee has previously signaled intent to leave. The moment you gave notice, your flight risk score spiked. Accepting the counteroffer did not reset it. It confirmed it. You are now a known quantity, a managed risk. Your name goes on a mental list, sometimes a literal one in the system, as someone who requires monitoring. Here is what that means in practice. It does not mean you get fired next week. It means the next time there is a high visibility project, your manager thinks twice before putting your name on it. It means when there is a strategic conversation about who gets a stretch assignment or leadership opportunity, someone in that room remembers that you had 1 foot out the door 6 months ago. The signal cost is invisible on your pay stub, but it is compounding against you every quarter. Now the second mechanism. This one is math. Your counteroffer is not a raise in the traditional sense. It is an off-cycle compensation adjustment, and your company's payroll system treats it differently than an annual merit increase. Here's what actually happens. Most companies run annual compensation reviews in a fixed budget cycle, typically tied to fiscal year planning. When your manager goes to bat for your $20,000 counter, that money comes from a discretionary retention budget, not from the merit pool. The distinction matters enormously. Because in most compensation structures, your annual raise next year is calculated as a percentage of your current base. You are now at a higher base. That part sounds good, but the merit pool for your annual review is often capped per employee in a given 12-month window. Because you just received an off-cycle adjustment, you have effectively pre-spent your raise budget. The comp team sees that you got a significant increase 7 months ago and applies that against your annual review allocation. Let me put numbers to this. Say your base was $80,000. You got a $20,000 counter. You are now at $100,000. Annual merit pool for year level averages 4%, which is $4,000. But because of your off-cycle adjustment, your manager is told to deprioritize you in merit allocation this cycle. You get 2% instead. $2,000. The person who left and took the new job, they started at $105,000 at the new company. Their 4% merit increase next year is $4,200. The gap between you and them is already growing, and it grows compounding forward every single year. That is what I call the raise ceiling. The number on your offer letter looks like a ceiling that got raised. In reality, it is a cap on how fast you can grow from here. Now, the third mechanism is the one that takes the longest to show up, but it does the most damage. Imagine a graph. On the left side, two lines start at exactly the same point. Same role, same company, same performance rating. The top line is your colleague Priya. Priya handed in her notice the same week you did, but Priya left. She took the new job. She is now at a company that hired her as a signal of confidence, not as a retention panic. She is starting fresh without a flight risk score. Her managers have no context for her as someone who almost left. She is just a talented new hire with momentum. The bottom line is you. You stayed. You have the raise. But every 6 months, the lines diverge a little more. Priya gets assigned to the high-profile integration project. Priya gets sponsored for the leadership program. Priya's manager advocates loudly for her at the annual talent review because they have no reason not to. You are performing at the same level, but you are being managed conservatively. No one will say it to your face. The company is not being malicious. They are managing statistical risk, and you are a known risk. By month 18, the research catches up to what the graph was already showing. Robert Half found across their large employer surveys that employees who accept counteroffers stay an average of 1.7 years before leaving anyway, not because nothing changed. Because the root reasons you wanted to leave in the first place, the growth ceiling, the management dynamic, the cultural misalignment, those are still there. The raise addressed the symptom. The company did not fix the cause. You might be thinking, okay, Drew, but I know people who stayed after a counter and it worked out fine. I hear that, and I want to address it directly. There is a legitimate case for accepting a counteroffer. If your reason for leaving was purely compensation, and the compensation is now genuinely fixed, and you have no other structural issues with the role, then the counteroffer resolves the actual problem. These situations exist. Robert Half estimates roughly 30% of counteroffer acceptances result in employees staying past 2 years with genuine satisfaction. But here is the diagnostic question you have to ask honestly. Was money the only reason you interviewed in the first place? Because if you were interviewing because of a growth ceiling, or a manager you did not trust, or a company direction you did not believe in, that counteroffer did not touch any of those things. It bought time. For both of you. The conditional truth is this. A counteroffer is only a real solution when compensation was the only problem. If there was anything else driving you toward the door, the retention trap is almost certainly waiting for you at month 12. So what is the protocol? 3 steps. Executable before you make a decision. Step 1 is the root cause audit. Before you respond to a counteroffer, write down every reason you started interviewing in the first place. Be honest, not the polished version you said in the exit interview. The real list. Then categorize each item. Is this something money fixes, or is this something that requires structural change? A different manager, a different scope, a different culture. Count the items in the second category. If there are more than 2 items that money does not fix, the counteroffer is not a solution. It is a delay. Step 2 is the 18-month projection. Take the counteroffer salary and the new job salary. Add 4% annually for 2 years to both. Then factor in that your annual raise at the current company is likely to be compressed in year 1 post-counter. Call it 2% instead of 4%. After 18 months, what is the actual gap? In most scenarios at a $90,000 base, the compounding difference between a 2% and a 4% raise over 2 years is not trivial. It is roughly $3,600 in year 2 alone, and it builds from there. That is not the raise you thought you got. That is the raise minus the raise ceiling. Step 3 is the leverage reset. If you decide the counteroffer is genuinely fixing the right problem, take it. But document everything in writing, the new salary, any commitments made about role scope or promotion timeline, the conversation you had. Because 3 to 6 months from now, the urgency your manager felt when you handed in your notice will have faded. Verbal commitments fade with it. Written ones do not. Here is the reframe I want to leave you with. A counteroffer is not a raise. A raise is something your employer gives you because they believe in your trajectory. A counteroffer is something your employer gives you because losing you right now is inconvenient. Those are two very different transactions. One buys you upward movement. The other buys them time. The money looks the same on your pay stub, but what it means for your career velocity is completely different. The $20,000 number on that counteroffer is not the relevant number. The relevant number is what your career is worth at month 36 if the growth ceiling stays intact, if the flight risk flag is still in the system, if the annual raise continues to be compressed. That number is what you are actually being asked to trade when you pull that resignation letter out of the recycling bin. Drop a comment below. Tell me the real reason you started interviewing the last time, not the polished version, the actual one. I read every comment because that is where the real data lives. If this breakdown helped you see a decision differently, hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Nothing in this video should be considered financial, investment, or personal money advice. It is for education and entertainment only. I am not a financial advisor, so please research before making decisions. Some voices or visuals may be AI assisted, but the final work is reviewed and edited by me, Drew.